me, like where you grew up, what were your parents like, and where'd you go to school, and where'd you, just tell me everything. I want to know everything about you. And
That's gonna be
at some
cool.
point, bagpipes will come into it, but that's not all I want to know about. I want to know about you.
I was born in Aberdeen, Maryland.
You're from
Um,
Maryland.
yeah, my dad was in the army, so I'm an army brat. I'm not really bratty, but that's the saying.
That's just what they
Um,
call you.
and then when I was almost 2, we moved to Iowa,
Mm.
and I got 3 brothers, Patrick, Thomas, and Sean.
Oh, those are some good. Those are some good
Uh,
Irish names right there.
yeah.
Was there a reason for that?
Oh, well, because I was a Murphy when I was born,
Mm.
and my family was
Did your parents or aunts and uncles or
in Ireland.
grandparents were people
Yeah.
around you singing "My Wild Irish Rose" to you all the
Oh my
time?
gosh.
I
Yes,
bet they were.
all those Irish songs. So,
Mm.
um, and then I have a sister named Erin.
As in
So it's the
ERIN, of course.
yes, as in Erin, and she was born on the 50th anniversary of the Easter uprising.
Oh well,
So that's why she's called Erin.
that's just too perfect. And
I know, right?
is her middle name Gobrach?
No, it's Marie,
Oh, okay.
but we never called her that. We called her Erin Me because Marie was too hard to say, I guess. I
I
don't know.
see.
Let's see.
But where did you fit into these? Were you the oldest child, youngest child?
Yeah, I'm the oldest.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I just wished I had those 3 brothers, Patrick, Thomas, and Sean, and I really, really wanted a sister to play with because I was tired of the boys drawing mustaches on my dolls and things like that, or
Yeah.
having to play cowboys and Indians and not ever playing Tea
Yeah.
Party or whatever.
Right.
So
But so
I
then
prayed and prayed for a sister, and I got a sister on Easter Sunday.
hey, so it is a miracle and you got her.
It
But
it was
how far
totally
apart are you in years?
7 years.
Okay, so maybe it was a minute before you got to. Well, I don't know. With a baby sister, you do get to play with her like she's a living doll, of course. And then,
Yes, you do.
yeah.
I wasn't expecting that kind of play, though. I was expecting her to, talk and
Yep.
totally. I was only 7, 6.
Yep. My wife had the exact same experience. It was
Oh,
a
does she?
brother, then her, then 2 brothers. She wanted a sister so badly, and then she
Mhm.
got one, and she was so excited, and then she ran into the hospital, and it wasn't a sister, it was a baby,
Right? Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's see. Moved to Iowa. I was an Iowa farm, not a farm girl. I lived in the city, but we just played in the neighborhood all the time. We didn't watch any TV very much because my mom was against TV, and so we played outside with the neighborhood kids all the time. I had to take piano lessons starting when in second grade, so I learned to play the piano
Was it
first, and then
sort of your classic sort of lady in the neighborhood who had a piano was teaching?
yes,
Yeah.
it was. Yes. I would have to go there after school one
Mm.
day a week and take piano lessons and practice every day. And all of us learned to play the piano. And then my mom said, you take 2 years of piano and then you can take any instrument you want, which kind of forced you into playing an instrument. I
Yeah.
wanted to play clarinet, but I had really bad buck teeth. So they said, no, no clarinets for you. So I learned the violin.
Yeah.
Not very much. I really hated the ratty old violin case that I had to carry to school because one of the nuns was teaching the violin lessons.
Mm.
Um, I really, really hated that. But it's too bad too because the violin was an heirloom in our family
Oh.
that I still have today. It's one that my mother learned to play and my grandmother learned to play.
Oh wow.
Um, it's too bad that I didn't take more lessons.
Now and you don't have to divulge anything you don't want to, but I have not gone to a school run by nuns, but I've heard terrifying stories. Was it a lovely experience, or was it the sort of strict experience that you kind of see in TV, in movies and stuff?
Oh, it wasn't very strict. Half of the teachers were lay teachers and half of them were nuns, but
I
the nuns
see.
were really nice.
Mm.
Um, well, there were a couple that were really strict, but so one of them, after my sister was born, um, my one of the nuns, the one who taught the religion class that we had every day, said that if your baby sister dies before she gets baptized, she'll go to hell. I was so upset. I stood up in class. I said, no, she won't. She hasn't done any sins at all. Nothing.
Oh dear.
Um,
Of course, it would be the
and
one
so,
who's in charge of like teaching you about Jesus who would tell you something mean like that, huh?
yeah, so she sent me to the principal's office, and it was Sister Mary Michaeline, and Sister Michaeline said, old people, they're kind of set in their ways. Don't worry about it. She will not go to hell. She hasn't done any sins.
Yeah.
So I went back to class, and that was a big part of my conversion to the Mormon church, that babies don't go to hell
Yeah.
until, they've done something bad.
Yeah.
So, but anyway,
Well, it sounds like it's not too bad of a mix. That's the kind of mix you'd get at any
no, it
public
was,
school or anything. A couple
yeah,
of strict
yeah,
people, but mostly really lovely people.
yeah.
Uh,
Let's see. So elementary school in Iowa, and then we moved to, my dad lost his job in a Collins radio company. He was making transistors, and things were happening so fast in the technology kind of age that
yeah.
they shut down that company. So we moved to Butte, Montana,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
where my grandmother, my maternal grandpa lived. Um, so I did junior high and high school there. And then I went to college in Billings, Montana. I got a
Hmm.
degree in um, art, and with a minor in biology.
Oh, cool.
Weird, I don't know.
No, that's really cool. That's awesome.
Um, and then I tried to find a job in art, and in Billings there was nothing.
Yeah, sure.
So, and I had an apartment that I had rented, after graduation. And I also did a year, my junior year abroad. I did a junior year abroad that I set up for myself. I went to France, and I studied at a French art school,
Oh, really?
and
Now,
I learned how to speak French
yeah, did you learn there or
because,
had you already learned?
well, I had learned some
Yeah.
things. So I took French when I was in high school from the nun who taught my father Latin when he was in high
Oh,
school.
really? Wow.
Yeah, she does the role, Murphy, Rose. And then there's this long pause. I sit here, and then this long pause, and she goes, "Are you Bernard Murphy's daughter?" I just about fell through the floor.
Oh,
Yes. I taught him Latin when he was at Billings High School.
wow.
So that was kind of interesting.
Good for her for
So
teaching multiple language courses. That's awesome.
yeah. And when I knew I was going to go to France, I went to the language lab at the college and started listening to tapes and things.
Yeah.
So I had something, but it was nothing really to survive on. But once you get there and nobody speaks English, you have to learn.
Yeah, that pushes you into it.
Yeah, so I think I was fluent in about 2 months.
Did you know anything of bagpipes when you went on that study abroad? Like any interest in going to Cape Breton or anything? Or did
Nope,
bagpipes come in
nothing.
later? Gotcha.
Bagpipes came in later.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So then let's see. So I was in this apartment that I had rented and couldn't find a job. So one of my friends from college said, "Well, I'm going to go out and visit my girlfriend in Minneapolis." And I said, "Can I come along if I pay half the gas?" So I packed up all my worldly possessions in a backpack and got in the car, and we drove to Minneapolis. And I had some friends that I had met when I visited Ireland when I was in France, for vacations and stuff. I went over to Ireland and met my relatives that were over there. That's a
Yeah.
kind of interesting story too. Do you want to hear that
I
story
do.
too?
Tell me about that. That's really cool.
So I knew that my family came from Carrickmacross because I knew my great grandmother, and she told me stories about where she grew up and everything. So I knew that she was from Carrickmacross in County Monaghan. So I went over to Ireland on Easter break, and I went to Carrickmacross in County Monaghan, and I went to the church because that's where the records were, the Catholic
Yeah.
Church. And so I went and talked to the priest there, and he said, "Well, there was a big fire at the church, and all the records were burned that would include your grandmother's records." So I don't have any records. Don't know where your family is or anything. So, and he said, "Why don't you go to Salt Lake City because they have all kinds of genealogy records
Oh, really?
there?" I said, "Well, I got to finish the rest of my year of
Yeah.
school." So I started walking up the hill from the church, just walking along, just looking at, stuff. And it was row houses upon row houses. And this little kid was out in the front yard playing with the ball. And just on a whim, I said, "Hey, kid, do you know anybody with the last name of Rowe?" And he just shook his head. And so I said, "Do you know of anybody with the last name of Swinburne?" And he just went white.
Oh yeah.
He said, "That's my last
No
name."
way.
I said, "Can I talk to your mom, please?" So I went in, and she was opening cans and making things for dinner. Later on, her husband told me that if she didn't have a can opener, her family would starve. Thought that was kind of funny. So I said, I explained, how I was related to Swinburnes and were we related, and she said, "Well, you have to ask my husband, Patsy, when he gets home from work." So I helped her get dinner ready and play with the kids. There are 5 kids, and he came home and we had dinner, and I told him the story about how I was related to Swinburnes through my grandmother, and he said, "Let's go ask my mom and dad; they would know." So we went over to his parents' house after dinner, and they said, "Yeah, I'm your great great grandmother's sister."
Wow, really?
They were my relatives.
Wow.
And so then I stayed there for the whole week of Easter vacation, and they took me around to all the cemeteries where relatives were born. They took me around to all the people that were still in town that were related to me and explained how I was related. And we had, um, tea with everybody and
Yeah.
met everybody. It was really interesting.
Do you
So, and
stay?
I've,
Have you gone back since then? To revisit and stuff.
I have not, but I gave all the information that I got, addresses and names and stuff to my grandmother
Yeah.
when I got home, and she said, "Okay, I guess we'll have to go back there."
Yeah.
So they did. So like 10 years later, they all took a trip to Ireland and spent a month over there and met all the family, and
That
it
sounds
was really
awesome. That
cool.
that I mean, I'm sure it's really cool to go to like Dublin, like sort of in a touristy kind of way. But it sounds like
Hmm.
having dinner in an Irish row house with a man named Patsy of all things,
I know, right?
with 5 kids and everything. It just sounds so authentic. That sounds awesome.
It was really cool.
Well, that's amazing. I can't. That moment of saying the kid's last name. That's really cool. Now,
All
when you
right.
would travel, when you would go from France over to Ireland, did you hop from France to the UK, go across land there, and then get in the water again to go over to Ireland, or were you kind of on a boat or something going around the bottom of the UK there?
I went on land over to the west, or to Le Havre in France, which is the
Mm.
northwest corner of France, and I took the ferry straight over,
I see. I see.
and I was seasick.
Yeah, I bet it's not a short distance, is it?
Well, I mean, relatively compared to the Atlantic
I guess,
Ocean, it
yeah,
is, but
compared to going across the
it's
ocean, yeah.
it's really rough seas, pretty, and it was springtime too, so it was rough. It was really rough.
Yeah.
I think I just uh, spent the whole trip in the bathroom throwing up,
Mm. Mm.
but nobody was there, so
Yeah, at least you could throw up in private.
right, it was terrible.
So when you got back
Uh,
from your study abroad, then you still had a little school left, and then you graduated, and then headed off to Minneapolis.
yeah, and then I went to Minneapolis, and so people that I met in Ireland were living in Minneapolis, and so I went to their house,
Oh, I see.
uh, and um, just south of Center City, Minneapolis is where they lived. And so I went to their house, and they said, "Well, you could sleep on our couch if you want till you find a job." So I slept on their couch for a couple days, and I got a job at General Mills,
Mm.
um, working as a secretary. And
Oh,
I
good
found
for you. Good for you to be
yeah,
working as a secretary, because
right,
I used to inspect buildings, and I've inspected a few like cereal plants, and
yeah.
I like cold cereal, but there's something about the process that just doesn't smell great. I never really enjoyed the smell in those places.
Well, I wasn't in the production part of it. I
Right?
was in
Yeah.
the office admin part, so it
Yeah.
was just bosses and secretaries, the whole place.
Other interesting smells, I'm sure, but still, I think I'd rather
Yeah,
be in an office than in the production area at a cereal store or a cereal factory for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah, so I worked at General Mills for 2 years. I got a room in a rooming house that was a couple blocks away from where my friends lived, um, and I just took the bus out to General Mills every day, and um, that's where I joined the Mormon church
Mm.
and met my husband.
Oh, so
His
is
family.
he a native of Minnesota then?
No, he's from California, and
Mm.
his parents moved to Minneapolis his dad got a job in Minneapolis about, I don't know, a year after I got there. So they moved into our ward.
Mm.
And
I've never personally actually lived in that part of the country, but my dad grew up in South Dakota, and
uh-huh.
I don't know how an accent can make it this far, but my wife tells me often that there are a few words I say like yogurt. I'm overemphasizing now, like yogurt and stuff like that, right? That she's like,
Uh-huh.
why do you sound like you're from like Wisconsin or something, right? And like I have no idea, right? It must be that my dad still had a few words that he pronounced that way even over in Utah,
Yeah.
right? And that I picked him up as a kid. Do you feel like having lived in? Did you start in Rhode Island or Maine?
Aberdeen, Maryland.
Oh, in Maryland, right? In Maryland.
Yeah.
So, do you feel like having lived in Maryland, in Iowa, in Minneapolis, and other places as well, um, have you picked up like do you have funny words that you say sometimes, or like turns of phrase, that people go like, oh, where are you from?
Yeah, I think I maintained the Minnesota accent a
Yeah,
little bit. Because I think that people from Utah talk funny, but when I talk to people from Minnesota anywhere, I sort of slip into that accent again.
yeah. So,
But I do that with any accent. So if I speak to Irish people, I start picking up their accent. I just
mm-hmm.
do it without thinking about it, and then they give me a sidelong look like, "Are you trying to copy me?"
Right.
Or French people. I really got a good. I think that's a gift that I have,
Mm-hmm.
to just be able to pick up accents of people.
Yeah.
If
And
that
I'd
makes
imagine
sense.
having lived in multiple places, you probably become somewhat like sort of
Mm.
fluid in that, in like, there are
Yeah,
different ways to say things and stuff.
yeah, maybe.
Mm.
If people say you said that kind of funny, I'd say it's my Minnesota accent. Yeah, sure, you bet.
Yeah.
Because it's a thing. So let's see,
So
story.
you met your husband there.
Yeah, we got married. There wasn't any temple there, so we went to Washington D.C. and got married because I had an aunt living out there, and so we got married there. Did our honeymoon through the East Coast and east part of Canada, uh, and then
Did you
we
happen to
went
hit
back to.
Prince Edward Island while you were up there?
No, not that time. I
Uh,
have been there since, but um,
my wife needs me to go to Prince Edward Island with her.
it's enchanting.
Yeah,
It's so delightful.
yeah.
It's free to get over to the island,
Mm-hmm.
but it costs $50 to get back.
Oh, really? That's a good strategy.
I know, right? You want to go home? $50, please.
That- wow, that's brilliant.
I'm trying to think of what happened next. So we got married and we had 4 kids, 3 girls, Rosie, Catriona, Theodora, and then a son, Tiankum, and he was born right. He was like 11 months old, and my husband Todd decided he needed to move out to. He went to air traffic control school. He wanted to
Mm,
be an air traffic controller.
yeah.
So he took the training down in Oklahoma City, and then December 23rd we moved to Salt Lake City. We got
So,
here on January 10th, 2000. So we
mm.
moved here right at the turn of the century.
And so until then, your kids have been being raised in Minnesota.
Yep, they were all born and raised in Minnesota.
Gotcha.
But this house that we've lived in here ever since is the only house our son has ever known.
Yeah, yeah, because you're just a tiny boy.
Yeah.
Man, so were you like on the road for Christmas?
We were on the road for Christmas Eve,
Yeah.
and we had the radio tuned to. My husband was in Oklahoma City, so it was just me driving with the
Oh,
kids
I
and
see. Yeah.
stuff and everything. So we had the radio tuned to the station where they follow Santa Claus as he travels from here to
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
And we didn't have a tree, of course, so we had one of those little air fresheners that you hang from your
Oh,
rearview
yeah.
mirror. It was a little green tree, and we put little colored dots on it. That was our Christmas tree.
Oh, that's fun.
So then we moved out here, and then
Well,
I found an ad in an Acorn magazine for a bagpipe practice chanter for like $23. I said, I can do that. I can pay $23 and only play bagpipes.
yeah. Had you been thinking for a long time that maybe that would be fun, or was it like in that moment suddenly you were like, "Oh, bagpipes, yeah, I could do that."
No, so there was some piper that lived between our house in Minneapolis and the university where I worked,
Mm.
and he would walk along the street, and I would sometimes pass him as he was walking along the street playing and practicing or something. I don't know. He would just walk along the street practicing, and I would follow him
Oh
sometimes
yeah.
and be late for work because I was following this guy just listening to his playing. I thought
Yeah.
that would be awesome.
Was he all kilted up, or was he just out there in his street clothes?
I seem to remember him being kilted up, but
Yeah.
it's kind of vague.
Yeah.
So when I saw that practice center, I thought, wow, that would be so cool
So was it a
to be
decent
able to
practice
play that.
chanter, or was it one of those rosewood ones that gives you splinters?
Um, it wasn't a rosewood. It was pretty decent,
Yeah. Well, that's good.
but but the low G didn't work.
Oh, really? Interesting.
So uh, I went and found a link online to the Celtic Center here in Minneapolis that was still open, and I
Mm.
call them up and I said, "Hey, I just got this practice center, and
Oh,
one of the notes doesn't work."
in Salt Lake, right?
Yeah, in Salt
Yeah.
Lake, and he said, um, "Well, bring it in. I'll fix it for you." This is Dennis McMaster,
Ah, yeah.
and so I brought it in, and he fixed it. I don't know what he did to it. Um, and he said, you can't learn to play bagpipes from a book.
Mm.
How about some lessons?"
Hmm. Yeah.
I said, "All right." And so he started teaching me lessons, and I think I took lessons for 6 months. Never touched a set of pipes before at
Hmm.
all. And then I started actually got my first set of pipes in. Well, I got rental pipes from McMaster about 6 months after I'd started and
Yeah.
started playing.
So now, one quick question. I'm curious. Having moved around quite a bit throughout your life, and now you've been in one steady place for 20 years, are you getting restless, or do you feel happy about being in Salt Lake?
Oh, I'm happy to be in one
Yeah.
place. I don't. It's so hard to move.
Yeah. Well, I hear you there. We just had carpet put into our house. We had to move stuff into the garage, and just that was a Herculean
Oh,
effort.
oh
Almost
yeah.
not worth it. I was like, "Are we sure we want carpet?"
Now you got to keep it clean. I hope it's not white carpet.
No, no. We got the color of dirt.
Good, very good. That's a good
Yeah,
choice.
we've also got 4 kids, and so it was like, well, this is not our forever carpet. This is for the kids to abuse.
Right, right.
So did you say you were on practice channel for 6 months, and then you got the rental pipes?
Yeah.
That's pretty quick. Did you feel ready for it when you got on pipes, or was it kind of overwhelming?
Well, remember, I learned to play the piano and the violin, and so I knew how to read music.
Yeah,
I just had to do the fingering, and that was it.
yeah. So
I
and which do you? I should know this, but I feel like you play with the Salt Lake Scots. Is that right?
right. Yes, yeah.
And so,
Tennis was the
mm,
was the pipe major of the Salt Lake Scots at that time.
yeah.
So I got voted into the band on the first day of May in 2004. I think it was.
Mm. And you never looked back.
Never looked back.
How does your
Still
family
with
feel
them.
about it? Because I mean, pipes can take up some time and stuff. Do they
And they're
follow you
loud.
everywhere? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So my husband is pretty good about um, coming to gigs and events and things,
yeah.
but he doesn't play anything. But Tiankum, when he was little, he thought that everything I did was the coolest thing, and so he wanted to learn pipes too. So I got him lessons, and he plays. He's up at USU now, and he plays with their band up there. He plays pipes.
Mm. I feel he's got a unique name, of course, so it would stand out. I feel like I have.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've met him personally, but I feel like I've for sure seen his name on like rosters when I was helping organize soloist competitions or something like
Yeah,
that.
I'm sure you did. He went to a couple of competitions, and he came out and competed with us at Ventura Games when we went out there.
Mm. That program that they have at USU it's been turning out some really great sets and performances. They're playing great up there.
They
Or
were
sorry,
until
I said
COVID.
USU. Sorry, it's yeah, Utah State
Yeah,
University, right? Yeah.
yeah, it's Utah State University.
Yeah.
They were doing pretty good until COVID hit. Now they have 6 pipers.
Oh man.
Yeah.
And is that it, or do they hold on to like one drummer?
I don't know if they have any drummers.
Yeah.
I didn't ask about drummers.
Yeah, we all have a dearth of drummers, don't we?
Yeah.
I honestly like we might need to start like collectively just like maybe as a branch we can like take up a collection to just like pay a stipend to any drummer who's willing to stay with the band. We just really need you guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I played bass drum one year for the band
Oh yeah, how'd you like it?
because our I played bass in college. It was
Mm,
marching band.
yeah.
I think I could play bass drum. It's just two notes. And they said, "Sure, okay." So I played marching band, and I can still play the drums part to the Rocky theme song because it was Rocky Mountain College that I went to, and
Oh
I can still I can still play that.
yeah.
So yeah, I played our bass drummer disappeared, went someplace, and they said, "Hey, anybody want to be a bass drummer this year so we can compete?"
Yeah.
I said, "Okay, I'll do that." I played bass drum before, and they're so heavy though. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah. It looks
Not as
really.
heavy as snare drums, but they're so heavy.
Yeah. Yeah, when I was
You,
in
so two
I was in high school and tried the bass drum there, and they had just one of those like sling mounts for it. You know, it's just like two straps of like
oh,
seatbelt material that
yeah.
goes around your shoulders.
Yeah,
I think I still have back issues now just from that one, that 1 year of trying that drum out
I
because it'll
bet
just bend you right over.
it will. It's horrible.
So, what do you have any favorite? Let me see. Well, I want to know, Rose. Do you have a favorite pipe tune that you really love to play that's like evergreen for you? Do you have pipe tunes that are often requested, maybe by your family members or friends who know that you play? And what is your sort of top of the list dream pipe tune that you really want to learn?
Okay, so first question. I like just about any slow air.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of the name of the tune now. That's my favorite one, but I can't think of the name of tunes.
Mm-hmm.
I have
I have the same
a hard
problem. Yeah,
time
don't
with
worry about
with
that.
yeah. So, but I slow airs are my favorite, but I have a hard time keeping my pressure steady,
Oh,
so
sure, yeah.
I
Well,
don't get
don't
to
we
play
all?
right. So, but what was the second question?
um,
Oh, the one that people ask me to
yeah.
play.
What do people ask you to
Yeah,
play?
Happy Birthday.
Oh, of course, of course.
My father-in-law just turned 80 in the beginning of April, and he made me come and play Happy Birthday to him.
Mm.
So, um, and then what was the third question?
Top of the list for tunes you'd really like to learn. Something that you think like that's such a
I
cool tune. I want to learn to play that.
I would like to learn to play Pumpkins Fancy.
Oh yeah, that's a fun one for sure.
It's a hornpipe, so
Yeah.
it's tricky, and I even printed it out on orange paper.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and I've gone through it. I just don't have it memorized,
Yeah.
and I am sure some of the hornpipe movements are really horrible. But we don't ever play it in band. So,
Well, I could be wrong,
yeah.
but I think that one of the beautiful things about that tune is those slides. You can
Hmm.
hide any sort of you can hide a lot of your like sort of weakness with the hornpipe form by doing really cool slides. You know.
Right, right, yeah. Um, and there's a tune that Dennis McMaster wrote called "Brogues on the Cobbles"
Mm,
that I really like. It's not a slow air; it's march. I
mm-hmm.
think it's a march. Um, and I like to play that a lot, but nobody else in the band likes it because they played it so much before I joined the band that they just don't ever want to hear it again.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, so
Now, what's your current instrument setup? What kind of pipes are you playing?
I got to look it up because now I don't remember. Just a
Hey,
minute.
don't worry about that, Rose. I'll tell you, I'm exactly the same way. We there are some of us, though we love bagpipes, we need to have friends who know, like, we all need a Larry Erdman, right? Who we can just like play a
Right,
piece of a tune and he'll say, "Oh, that's this tune," right? We
right.
we all
Yes, and
need.
he'll know how to play the rest of it too.
Yep, yep, exactly. We all need a Johnny Miner or a Mike Swan in our lives who can tell us exactly what equipment we have, either just by looking at it or
Yes.
because somehow they've memorized what equipment everybody in the state is playing on.
I can't believe that they do that, but they do.
Yep, yep,
No, I had to write it all down because people keep asking me these things.
yeah.
So I have nail drones.
Mm.
And I don't know what kind of chanter I have. Um, I have a Ganaway medium bag.
That's a leather bag then?
It's a leather bag,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a hide bag. I have a Chesney Copper chanter reed. Uh,
Do you like
my
that reed? That's one that I haven't tried Chesney's yet. I've been kind
Yeah,
of doing
because
a buffet of reeds lately, trying a bunch of them out. So maybe I'll try that one next.
we um we were playing platinum chanter reeds
Yeah.
over the last year, and they are so hard to break in.
Mm.
It just takes oh, forever to. You got to play them every day for an hour, and it takes a month, something like that.
Mm.
And nobody liked them, so we're still going to switch over to Chesney reeds. And I got a Chesney Copper when I destroyed my platinum reed accidentally on purpose. Um,
Oh no.
I have a canary bass drone reed, and my tenor drone reeds are Canning normals.
Mm.
That's what I have. I had to look it up on my phone because I write it down.
Yeah, no,
I
I'm
can't
I'm right there with you,
remember.
Rose. I'm right there with you. So is this the setup that you've like landed on after trying multiple different things, or is this kind of what you got set up to start with, and you like what you have and you're sticking with it?
No, I started out with McCallum pipes,
Mm-hmm. Those were the ones you were
and
renting.
yeah, I was renting those, and so I bought no. I rented I rented McMaster pipes,
Oh,
and I
okay.
bought McCallums because I really liked the way they sounded.
Yeah, they're
I
great. Yeah.
bought I bought a set of McCallums, but then as the years went on and Tiancum started to take up pipes and needed bits and pieces of pipes here and there, I gave him parts of my pipes, and I had the band pipes. I got band drones, and they were silver and they were cool. And
Yeah.
so I didn't have I had McCallum pipes, and then this is an interesting story.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
Um, I decided to get nail pipes.
Yeah.
So I had received some money from my mother died, and I inherited some money. So I said I'm going to get some new pipes. So and I talked to the pipe major. He said you should get nails. They're the best.
Yeah.
So I heard people playing nails, and I played nails, and I thought, oh, that's really cool. So I bought a set of nails. I ordered them. This is last year, right? I ordered a set of nails pipes.
Ooh, so these
Um,
are fresh.
these are fresh, not the bag. I just got the drones and the
Just
the
the
chanter,
the
not the
sticks and
chanter.
stocks, as they say.
Yeah, like that. So I just
Yeah.
had pieces of pipes. So I ordered them online, and it was like $1,500. I don't even remember how much it was. It was a lot of money.
Yeah, they
So I
are.
ordered them,
They are
and
top-notch
and I
pipes. Yeah.
yeah, and I paid for them, and they were coming from Scotland, right? So and it was taking forever because of the pandemic and everything. So
Mm.
I'm waiting and waiting. Months, pass by, and then I get this email from Tartantown. They said we're canceling your payment
Mm.
for your pipes, and I thought, oh my gosh,
No.
what happened? Do I have to
Yeah.
do this all over again? Yeah, all over again, and and then I got a little text, and it said somebody else has paid for your pipes, so we're
Oh,
sending your
really?
money back to you. And they never told me who paid for them. I do not know who paid for them, but I
That's
have a new set of
beautiful.
pipes
Wow.
because somebody else bought me a set of pipes.
Wow, that's lovely. That
So I
that
really can't stop playing anymore
yeah,
because
you better not. You better
somebody
not. So
thought I
glad.
was somebody thought I was good enough to buy me a set of pipes
Yeah, you
anonymously.
got strong incentive to keep it up forever now.
Right? Right.
No. Well, that's beautiful. That's the kind of good news we need to hear. That kind of
Yeah.
beautiful thing happening in the world.
Somebody out there is
I want to
paying
get on there. I
attention.
want to get on their good list as well.
I know, right?
Now, what
So that's
about
my
when you're getting
story.
ready for a performance, whether it's a competition or a parade, or you're going to play by yourself? Do you have any kind of pre-performance ritual that you go through to kind of make sure you're ready to go, either mentally or with your instrument or your uniform or anything like that?
I run through the tunes that I'm going to play in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I even write them down because I have a really bad memory.
Mm.
Um, and I'll write the cantoric. Uh,
Oh, have you learned to sing it?
yeah, because McMaster made you learn the cantoric when you were
Oh,
learning
that's
to.
right. I've heard
Yeah.
that.
So
Yeah, that's so cool, Rose. That's a skill I would love to learn someday.
so I go through the tunes. I make sure that I have all the parts of my pipes in the pipe bag. 'Cause, it's really embarrassing to show up at a gig and not being able to play your pipes because you forgot your chanter or something.
Or your blowpipe. I've had that experience with a
Right.
friend. Yep.
um, and then I make sure that I have all of my um, uniform. And I start from the top down. Okay, hat,
Hmm.
shirt, vest, tie, sporran, kilt, socks, flashes, shoes. I make sure I just go from the top down and make sure I have it all set out. Everything's washed and ironed and whatever, and then I think about playing the tunes, and I go through the tunes a couple of times too.
Hmm.
I have if I have time.
Do you usually have like a? Do you take your practice chanter in the car with you or something like that? So like when you get there, you can run through them on your chanter at least. Or
Uh-huh.
yeah,
Yeah,
gotcha.
my practice chanter lives in my pipe bag.
Yeah.
So look at the weather, make sure I don't need to bring my whatever that raincoat thing is called, some city in Scotland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have one of those, whatever they're called, but there have been a few times when I've thought I could really use one of those things,
Use
as
one,
I'm standing
yeah.
there playing in the rain.
In the rain. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, if you could change anything about the uniform that we wear for competition, like if someone came to you and said, we're changing the rules and you get to choose, is there anything you'd add to it or anything you would change or take away from it?
I would take all the red out of my kilt.
Yeah.
I really don't like red.
That's just in general. You just have strong feelings about the color, huh?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My great aunt worked at a department store in Memphis when I was a kid, and she would always send me presents of clothing, and it was always red. And I
Really?
got so sick of red. Always red. Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. So,
So
what about the competition itself? Do you ever wish that we could play other forms of music, or is there a medley type that you really don't enjoy playing that you wish were just like not on the table anymore?
no, I like them all.
Yeah. You,
I
you
like them
mentioned
all.
that you like slow airs, and I'm with you. I love it when you get a pretty slow air that kind of is harmonizing with the
Hmm.
drones and stuff. Have you dove into the world of Pembroke at all?
I stuck my toe in the water,
Mm-hmm.
uh, just because there was a lot of downtime during COVID.
Yeah.
But I haven't actually learned. I mean, Field of Gold, I think is what it's called. I was starting to learn
Mm-hmm.
Field of Gold, yeah. But I need somebody to explain how you play all those little things, and it's
Yeah. Yeah. Those aren't throws and burls. What are those? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
weird.
Now, aside from bagpipes and pipe band stuff, is there any other like what else takes up your time and your energy these days?
Um, I'm a scoutmaster with the BSA.
Oh yeah.
So I have a bunch of girls in our troop, and so we do that. We do a lot of activities, camping and
Did
stuff
you get
like that.
started with that as your kids were the right age for it, or was it an interest you had prior to that?
My brothers were in Cub Scouts, um, and always thought they had a lot of fun doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And then my husband was in scouting all his life. My dad was in scouting, um, and I really thought it would be fun to do all that stuff. But girls couldn't be in Boy Scouts back
Right.
then, so I didn't get to do any of that. So when the opportunity came,
Yeah, when it opened up.
I jumped at the chance of a
Yeah.
local troop.
Mm.
So
Mm.
yeah. What else do I do? And I like to knit a lot.
Oh, do you? Do you knit
Yeah.
clothing, blankets, all of the above?
Blankets take so long.
Mm-hmm.
I like to do little things and get that done with the project.
Yeah. Have you ever knit a necktie?
I have. I did one for my son and one for my husband.
Yeah. I have a few knit neckties, and those are for sure
Oh,
my
have you?
favorite. I think
Oh,
that
cool.
I'm severely colorblind, and so I think that what it is I really appreciate like textures and patterns,
Oh, uh-huh.
and I think that that's probably at the core of why I like knit things so much because they have so much texture
There's
to them.
texture.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Now
Yeah. knitting and
Was the knitting something
stuff.
that you picked up fairly recently, or is it did you start as a kid?
My mother and my grandmother taught me when I was about 9,
Mm.
and I got some blue yarn at the local mall in Butte, and I knit I guess it was a scarf. It could have repelled bullets though. It was knit so tightly.
You didn't have to hang it up. You could just stand it in the corner.
Yeah. And
Well,
then
you got to
I
start
didn't
somewhere.
I didn't knit in after that because that was what old ladies did, you know.
Oh, sure, it wasn't cool. Yeah,
Yeah, it wasn't cool.
yeah,
Um, but then when my kids started to get older, I had time to do it.
yeah.
They I picked it back up again, and it was really meditative, and
Mm,
it was, you know, artistic and colorful, and you got warm things out of it, and so
yeah.
I started doing that a lot.
No, that's lovely.
And then I work at Home Depot.
Oh, do you?
Yes.
What kind of department do you handle over there? Or are you kind of doing a lot of different stuff?
I work in the customer service department. I worked for JetBlue for 16 years as customer
Mm.
service. Um, and so I'm pretty experienced at customer service.
Now, I feel like I remember you mentioning JetBlue. Was it pretty recently that you changed careers?
Yes, because I kind of got fired because there were so few people flying during COVID that
Oh,
they
of
had to let a lot
course.
of people go.
Yeah.
Um, so I kind of got retired
Yeah,
in
you got
last
retired.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't really want to go back when they started hiring people back again because
Yeah.
it was I was kind of at a dead end over there. So
Yeah. Did you
I
get some of
went.
those travel benefits though while you were working there? Did you
Hmm.
take your family around and stuff?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I don't
We
mean to
called.
cut you off there, but any favorites? Any favorite places to take your family?
Oh, let's see. We used to take Tiancum to some place for his birthday because it was in February and nobody was flying in
Oh,
February.
sure. Yeah.
So we went to California, all over California. We went to New York and Florida and Maine. We went to London and Wales, and um, we didn't go to Scotland. We never get to Scotland.
Mm.
We didn't get to Germany, um, but we went to Ireland
Mm.
and France. We spent a week in France. We rented a little, you know, house that somebody was just renting a house for.
Wait, isn't that? Do they call it a chateau? Did you go to
It's not.
a
No,
French
it's not a
chateau?
chateau.
Oh,
A
let's see.
chateau is a castle.
Oh, is it?
No, it's just a maison.
See, I know
A petite
nothing.
maison.
I see.
Petite maison. So we just stayed. It had 2 bedrooms and a bathroom and a living room and a kitchen, and it was in the middle of a tiny little town.
Yeah.
And then we just rented a car and we went everywhere
Well, that
from
sounds.
there.
I personally, that's more appealing to me than like being with a
Yeah.
tourist group or something. Like that sounds beautiful.
Oh yeah, it was a lot of fun. Everybody decided before we went what they wanted to see, and somebody wanted to see castles, and somebody wanted to see the Paris, and so
Yeah.
somebody wanted to see, you know. So we went and saw all the things. Just took trips from where we were, and we got to go home at night, and we had all our stuff there, and
Yeah.
it was nice to have that little house.
How was your French? Did you feel real comfortable speaking when you got over there for that trip?
Uh, it improved very quickly when
Mm-hmm.
I was over
Mm-hmm.
there,
That
and
makes
I was
sense.
translating for everybody because my oldest daughter speaks French, but and Tiankum did learn to speak French later on, but um, when we were over there, I was translating for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, the sign driving down the road, there would be a sign, and I'd say, okay, this sign says blah blah blah,
Yeah.
and so I translated the whole trip, and then when we flew back into New York City, kept on translating the signs even though they were in English.
Everybody's like, "Mom, we know."
Wow, we can read that, yeah,
That's
yeah,
wonderful.
yeah. It came back really quickly,
Yeah.
and people were as soon as you try to speak French, people say that the French people are very um, you know, rude and
Sort of
not
hoity-toity.
very courteous. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But if you just try and to speak the language, they're so nice. We
Yeah.
got lost trying to find the little house that we were to stay in. It was dark. It was like 10 o'clock at night. And we were driving through this little town, and I saw a car pull up to a house. I said, let's go ask those people where we are, you know. And so I went over there and I said, please, can you help me? Because we're trying to find this place and this place. And they said, oh, come into our house. French people don't ever invite you into their house
Mm,
unless you've been their friend forever and ever.
yeah.
Come in and we'll look it up on the computer. And so I went in there and we looked up where we were and where we needed to go, and we talked about all the things that we could see in the area, and
Mm,
it was amazing that
yeah.
they almost invited us all into their house to stay the night. It was
Yeah.
really nice. They were very, very nice.
Mm. Now, and that's where you'd say the only French phrase that I actually know what it means would be "merci beaucoup."
There you go. Merci beaucoup. As
Uh,
my mother used to say, mercy bookups.
yeah, yeah, that's about what it comes out for me most of the time.
Right.
Yeah. Now, do you
Yeah.
have any particularly like really fun or happy memories that stand out in association with your pipes? Playing by yourself or playing with the band, traveling around. Anything that you kind of go, now that was special. That was fun.
Hmm. I don't know that I have anything special.
Mm-hmm.
I had some really notable. Okay, here's one. Here's one that was really special.
Yeah.
Um, I went up to. I'm always really nervous when I'm competing, and I make mistakes a lot. So I went up. I started to just go and compete everywhere, so I could get rid of the nerves,
Kind of get over
So
it.
we
Yeah.
went up to Billings, and I competed up at the Billings games up there one summer, and a whole bunch of other games, and the the people who were coming down from Canada for these games forgot that they had to have passports, or you had to have passports at that time. This is a new thing, I think.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I remember
Yeah.
that.
So
Yeah.
they didn't get their passports in time, so they didn't come down. So I played, and it was just this little tiny field that you played in, and you stood in the middle of the field, and everybody listened to every competition,
Mm.
and everybody playing their solo. So I played my March solo, and I think I did a really good job. I must have, because I got first place. That's the only
Hey,
first I've
way to
ever
go.
gotten. Yeah.
I never have got a first place, but good for you. I got a second place one time, but it was a very small competition, so I don't think I could really, it was like, oh, well. Like there were only three of us anyway.
Oh, okay. Yeah, first, second, third.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really exciting to just. I finished my march, and there was this little pause of silence, and everybody in the whole games clapped.
Oh, that's
I
awesome.
was so amazed. Wow.
That's so
Then they gave
different
me
from what
first
we
place.
usually experience where there's like six different solos going on at the
Yeah.
same time. And
Yeah.
so,
You're anonymous.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I like to go, and I like to be the steward for the games for one of the judges. Know.
Hmm.
That's fun too.
Yeah.
So I do that whenever I can.
Yeah, I've done that a couple times. I also really enjoyed it. It was especially good experience. Do you mind if I ask you? I would be remiss if I didn't ask you. How do you feel about pineapple on pizza?
I love pineapple on pizza.
Nice. Any particulars about what other toppings need to be there, or how the pineapple needs to be prepared, or is it just like give me some of that sweet fruit on the bread disc and I'll take it?
Well, I don't know. My husband is allergic to pineapple, so we don't have Canadian bacon, pizza very
I
often.
see. I
But
see.
but whenever we do, I love it. Yeah,
Yeah.
love it.
His allergy isn't so severe that like if you have pineapple on pizza, then you can't kiss him for 2 days or something like that, right?
No, his throat closes up.
Ooh, that's no good.
It doesn't stop him from breathing. It's just uncomfortable for about 6 hours, and then he's okay again. But yeah, we
So
don't
yeah,
get it very
gotta be
often.
careful.
I love
Yeah.
it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely. Well, I think we've got the makings of an excellent episode here, Rose.
Okay, I hope so. I hope you can make sense of it.
No, absolutely. I really appreciate you taking the time. Thank you. And I am sorry for that delay at the beginning there.
Oh, no worries.
Did you want, so I can kind of just find a spot to kind of fade it out? Did you have any sort of like, advice, words of wisdom, anything that you would like to go out on? And I can like cut this thing in the middle out and then just fade it out on whatever you'd like to say.
Just keep playing. Even if you sound horrible, keep working on it, and you'll get better pretty soon.
Yeah.
That's what I would like to say.